Good afternoon, everybody. Why some of them are most of the time not joining the class? Do they have any reason, or two, three people together are in one single name? So, can we start the class? Are you hearing me? Can we start the class?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so yesterday, because of this internet issues, we were not able to upload anything. But maximum by today, I will upload the slides. Okay. So today we are going to see about the shoulder mobilization. So first let me explain what are the positions and other thing. Then I will show you the video so that you can understand. So you can see a video in a skeleton. Then I will show you the real video also. So in the shoulder joint we have three joints. One is glenohumeral joint, then glenohumeral joint, then we have in shoulder we have only glenohumeral joint, that is glenoid cavity of the scapula will be articulating with humeral head. So we have that joint. So in this glenohumeral joint we have all the six movements will be happening. So that means like you will have flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, internal rotation and external rotation. So all these six movements will happen in this glenohumeral joint. Okay, so this glenohumeral joint, if you see, the glenoid fossa will be concave and the head of humerus will be convex. That means I'm talking about the articulating surface. So when you talk about the articulating surface, the glenoid fossa will be concave and the humeral head will be convex. Okay. So in this particular joint, the resting position is the shoulder is abducted 95-degree, then horizontally adducted 30-degree, then rotated so the forearm is in the horizontal plane. Okay, so this is the resting position. So this resting position only we will be using to start the movement or to test the movement. So for both the things we will be using this resting position. So the shoulder should be abducted 55 degrees, then horizontally adducted 30 degrees, then the forearm should be rotated in such a way that it is in the horizontal plane. So that means like it will be in such a way that you are abducted the shoulder 95 degrees and keeping your hand or forearm in front of your chest. So it will be in this particular position. So here the plane treatment plane is the glenoid fossa, which is concave and it will be moving with the scapular as it rotates. So the proximal joint is the scapular joint, which has to be stabilized using a belt or having an assistant. So that means you make the person to be in supine lying. In supine lying, you have to fix the scapula along with the bed. So the patient will be lying in supine. You will be fixing the patient in with the belt like this. Is that clear? Then the person will be this is the resting position. So 55-degree abduction, then 30-degree adduction, horizontal adduction. So it will come towards the chest little bit. Then you will be keeping the forearm in a pronated position. Okay, so this is the resting position. This is how you need to stabilize the scapula, that is the proximal joint of the glenohumeral joint. So first we will be starting with distraction, then we will go into the gliding. Okay, so first distraction is given to test the particular joint. So if you want to know how far the range of how far is the available range of motion, then you have to do this distraction. Okay, so you need to do this distraction to identify how far the range of motion is available. Is that clear? So this is the that's why you are doing this distraction. So indication of this distraction is testing, then initial treatment. When you want to start, you have to do this distraction. So you position the patient in supine with the arm in the resting position. Then the forearm will be supported between your trunk and the elbow. So forearm will be supported between the trunk and the elbow. So let me see. This is the forearm position. Is that clear? So the patient is in resting position, 55-degree abducted, then 30-degree horizontally adducted. Then the forearm should be positioned in between the trunk and the elbow of the therapist. Okay, so just imagine if the therapist is standing in between here, then that is the exact position for your distraction. Okay, so that is the exact position. That's how he is standing here. So in this position, you need to hold at the upper arm. So can you see this hand? So the hand placement is like the hand, you have to open up the hand and you have to, 1 minute. Okay, sorry. So the position of the patient is in supine lying. You have to wear a belt and stabilize the scapula, and you have to hold the hand in resting position, that is 55-degree abducted, then 30-degree horizontally adducted, and the forearm should be in horizontal plane. Okay, so that is a resting that is a position of the patient. So the therapist will be standing in between the hand and the patient's trunk. Okay, and he will be holding the hand in between his trunk and the elbow. So it will be like this. He will be holding like this. So just imagine the therapist will be standing in between here. Okay, then the hand position of the therapist is like one hand has to be placed at the axilla where the thumb is just distal to the joint margin. Okay, and the hand has to be wrapped. That means you have to open up the web space and you have to hold the arm at the axilla level, and the other hand will be just supporting the humerus from the lateral aspect. Is that clear? So one hand will be holding at the axilla by opening up the web space. Thumb is anterior and the fingers will be posterior. You will be holding the just adjacent to the joint line. You have to hold at the axilla. The other hand will be just supporting the humerus. Okay, so in this position, you have to give a distraction towards the arrow like this. Is that clear? So you have to give the distraction with this hand. That means with your left hand, you have to give the distraction, and the distraction movement should go away from the patient's body trunk. Okay, this is called glenohumeral distraction. Is that clear? So this is called glenohumeral distraction. Okay. So the next is glenohumeral caudal glide in resting position. So the position, again, the indication is to increase. That means if you have restriction in abduction, then you have to do this particular glide. So if you have restriction in shoulder abduction, then you have to do this caudal glide. Caudal glide is nothing but inferior glide. So the position of the patient is same like above. You have to position the patient in supine with the trunk stabilized with the belt. Then you have to stand near between the trunk and the elbow. Okay, so you can stand either between the trunk and the elbow, or you have to stand like this. So the hand is in the resting position. So the patient's hand will be in resting position. So with one hand, you are supposed to give mild distraction. So with your left hand, you are supposed to give a mild distraction. With your right hand, you have to hold over the head of humerus. Okay, so with your left hand, you have to give the distraction, same like the previous one. Then with the right hand, you have to hold at the head of the humerus and you have to push down or give the glide downwards. Is that clear? So you have to give the glide downwards. So push the hand downwards. So this is called caudal glide. So same caudal glide in long axis also you can do. That means like as the patient is progressing, you will be increasing the hand position. So the hand position will be in 55-degree abduction. Okay, so initially the hand position will be 55-degree abduction. As the patient is increasing the range of motion of shoulder abduction, you need to keep on abduct the hand and do the movement. So that is the remaining slide. Okay, can you see like here she is doing in 90-degree of shoulder abduction. So from 55 degrees she has brought to 90 degrees. Exactly. So that is the progression. So the caudal glide is given to increase shoulder abduction. So you will start the movement from the resting position, that is 55-degree shoulder abduction. Slowly you are supposed to increase it. Slowly you are supposed to increase the range of motion as it is improving. And you can do till 90 degrees. So when you are doing in this further, the patient will be able to improve furthermore. Is that clear? So that furthermore is the elevation like this. Okay, so till 90 degree you will be able to do in the supine lying position. After 90 degree, when the patient has improved after 90 degree, then you are supposed to position the patient in sitting. Okay, you can also do in lying, but you can also do in sitting. So you have to position the patient in sitting. Then with this hand, the hand you are not able to see the other hand. So with this hand holding at the head of the humerus, you have to push down like this towards the ground. Is that clear? So this is the progression further. So the caudal glide is given to improve the shoulder abduction. So you will start the movement from 55 degrees of the shoulder. Slowly you will be improving till 90 degree. You will be able to do well in supine lying. Then after the 90 degree, if you are not able to do in supine lying, you can bring it to sitting position and you will be able to do the same movement. Okay, so remaining hand placement, everything will be same. Is that clear? So this is your caudal glide. Then we will go to the glenohumeral posterior glide. So posterior glide will help you to increase flexion. Is that clear? So when you are doing posterior glide, it will help you to do, it will help you to improve the shoulder flexion. So here the patient will be in supine lying with arm flexed to 90 degree, then internally rotated with the elbow flexed. I will show you the picture. So the patient will be in supine lying. If you want, you can stabilize the trunk with the belt. Is that clear? So you can stabilize the patient with the patient's scapular over the bed with the belt. Then you have to hold the patient's arm in 90 degree flexion. So this is 90 degree flexion. Then you have to flex the elbow and internally rotate. So when you do internal rotation, the forearm will be pronated. Okay, so the forearm will be pronated, then only you will have internal rotation. So this is the position for doing uh, posterior glide. Okay, so in this position, you are supposed to hold the hand. One hand you can suppose to hold the hand, and you can give the distraction in this manner. So in with this hand, you are supposed to give the distraction in this manner. Okay, in case if you're not able to give distraction at the same time doing the gliding, so what you can do is you can apply a belt around your trunk or waist and the patient's hand. So you can apply a belt around the patient's hand and your trunk. So when you move behind, automatically you will get the distraction. Is that clear? So when you move behind slightly, then you will get the distraction. So either you can give it with the hand or you can also give it with the trunk. Is that clear? So just moving behind. Then the gliding is given inferiorly. So with this hand, from the end of the humerus, you have to push down. So this is the posterior glide. Okay, the glide will be pushing downwards like this. So this is called posterior glide. So if you're not able to use single hand, you can use double hand. And the if you're not able to give the distraction properly, you can use the belt. Is that clear? So this is your posterior glide. Okay, can we see these two videos then go to the other, or I'll finish off the complete one? I think one more, only one more. So next is your anterior glide. So anterior glide will help you to increase the extension movement. So anterior glide will help you to increase the extension as well as external rotation. So for this, you have to position the patient in prone lying. So position the patient in prone lying. If you want to stabilize the patient's scapula, you can put a belt and stabilize the patient's scapula. Okay, then stabilize the acromion with padding. So here you have to give a pad, because when you give the pressure here, automatically the scapula will be getting compressed over the couch, and it will be so much painful. So you have to give a towel or a small pillow under the clavicle, so that it is having a cushioning effect. Then stabilize the then in this position, you have to hold the hand. That is, uh, the patient's arm maybe will be over your thigh, so that it is in the distracted position. So resting position. So if you see, the patient hand is holded at 55-degree abduction and 30-degree horizontal adduction. So you can keep it in this position over your thigh. Okay, so you keep it over your thigh, and with the help of the thigh you can give a mild distraction. And so when you are keeping over your thigh itself, because of the gravitational pull, that particular joint will have a small distraction, so you don't need to worry much about the distraction. So the gravity will be giving a distraction. Along with that, if you keep it over your thigh, that also will give you the needed distraction. Then this one hand you have to hold over the lower part of the joint, or you can say like around the head of humerus. So you just have to hold uh, like how you were holding for the first time. That is how you were holding for the distraction. Same way you are going to hold it. So the thumb can be anterior and the remaining fingers can be posterior, or you can just have your complete hand at the lower part of the joint axis. Is that clear? So here with this hand you are supposed to give the anterior glide. So anterior glide will be downwards like this. So with this little finger, this gap, so with this little finger side, you have to give the gliding downwards, that is pushing downwards. Is that clear? So that is your anterior glide. Then last one is again glenohumeral external rotation progression. So if you want to, this is given for increasing the extension and external rotation. So when you want to progress further, then you can do in supine lying position. So in supine lying position, you can give the distraction along with the progression. Is that clear? So these are the glides you will be giving for glenohumeral joint. So for glenohumeral joint, you will be giving distraction, then you will be giving inferior glide. So that inferior glide will help you to improve the shoulder abduction. So throughout from 55 degrees, you will be able to improve till 180 degree, and you have various position for that. Then you will be giving posterior glide. The posterior glide will be helping you to increase shoulder flexion and internal rotation. Then you will be giving anterior glide. Anterior glide will be helping you to improve the shoulder extension and external rotation. Is that clear? So these are the 3 glides and 1 distraction that you will be doing in the glenohumeral joint. Okay, so now I'll show you the videos. Okay, actually the video is in a little different language, but you can just
التكنيك الأولاني
see
وهو
what he is doing. Okay, maybe the language is not that much understandable, but just observe what he is doing.
التكنيك الأولاني وهو البوستيريور جلايدنج. البوستيريور جلايدنج طبقا للكونفكس كونكيف رول. البوستيريور جلايدنج مين الموفينج سيرفيس هنا؟ الهيد اوف هيومرس. الهيد اوف هيومرس مالها كونفكس، فلما اعمل بوستيريور جلايدنج هيحسن الفليكشن. البيشنت بيبقى نايم سوباين وبيبقى فيه بيلت اكروس الشيست عشان نثبت السكابولا، وبحط الساي ما بين الارم وما بين الشيست بتاع المريض، وجست بعمل تيرنينج خفيف كده عشان يعمل ايه؟ ديستراكشن جريد 1، حاجه خفيفه خالص عشان تسهل الجلايدنج موفمنت. باجي بحط ايدي عند الانتيريور اسبكت بتاعت الهيومرس وبنزل في بوستيريور جلايد. بوستيريور جلايد. ملاحظه وانا بعمل البوستيريور جلايد اخلي الالبو اكستندد عشان الحركه تيجي من البادي ويت بتاعي، ما تجيش من مجرد بس الالبو، لا بعملها بحيث ان يبقى الحركه الالبو اكستندد وبعمل ني فليكشن عشان الحركه تيجي من البادي ويت. الانتيريور جلايدنج في الحاله هنا طبقا للكونفكس كونكيف رول عكس الجلايدنج، عكس الدايركشن بتاع الفسيولوجيكال موفمنت. يبقى الانتيريور جلايدنج هيحسن الاكستنشن من 50 درجه فليكشن، 20 ل 30 درجه ايه ادكشن، وبريح الابر الهيومرس عند الساي بتاعتي، وبحط ايدي على البوستيريور اسبكت بتاعت الهيد بتاعت الهيومرس وبنزل في anterior glide. anterior glide. anterior glide. الملاحظات الهامة: الالبو يبقى اكستندد، بعمل فليكشن في الني عشان انزل بالبادي ويت. حاجة تانية عند الالبو هنا يفضل ان السموث الحركة تبقى سموث، ما ثبتش الالبو، لان لو ثبت الالبو او عملت هايبر اكستنشن ده ممكن يعرض المريض لديسلوكيشن في الشولدر. الشولدر جوينت عايز احسن الرينج بتاع الابدكشن او اقلل البين في اتجاه الابدكشن. زي ما اتفقنا ان الهيد اوف هيومرس كونفكس والجلونيت فوسا كونكيف. هعمل انفيريور جلايد. الانفيريور جلايد هيحسن الابدكشن. الانفيريور جلايد زي ما اتفقنا ان هو هيحسن الابدكشن. الريستنج بوزيشن بنبدا من عند الريستنج بوزيشن 55 درجه فليكشن، 20 ل 30 درجه ابدكشن، وبحط ايدي هنا عند الاكزيلا وبعمل جريد 1 ديستراكشن، ببعد السيرفس عن بعض حاجه بسيطه. والايد الثانيه هنا فين؟ عن السوبيريور اسبكت بتاع الهيومرس وبحركها في انفيريور جلايد. لوز باك ديبوزيشن، وكل جوينت ليه لوز باك ديبوزيشن معين. بعديها بننتهي الخطوه ان احنا بنبدا عند البوينت اوف ليميتيشن او البوينت اوف بارير. بنيجي عند الشولدر مثلا بعد اللوز باك ديبوزيشن بنبتدي عند 90 درجه فليكشن. بعمل جريد 1 ديستراكشن بالايدي كده، والايد بتاعتي عند السوبيريور اسبكت بتاعت الهيومرس وبحركها في انفيريور جلايد. البوينت اوف ليميتيشن الثانيه فوق ال 90 درجه، لو البين والليميتيشن في الرينج اوف موشن فوق ال 90 درجه بتاعه الابدكشن. بنعمل ايه؟ عشان نيجي فوق ال 90 درجه لازم بيحصل شويه اكسترنال روتيشن في الشولدر. الاكسترنال روتيشن بتاع الشولدر عشان الهيد بتاعت الهيومرس ما تخبطش فين؟ في الاكروميون. بنبدا فوق ال 90 درجه بنعمل اكسترنال روتيشن في الشولدر عشان الهيد بتاعت الهيومرس ما تخبطش في الاكروميون. فوق ال 90 درجه بنعمل جاست جريد 1 ديستراكشن، والايد بتاعتي هنا عن السوبيريور اسبكت بتاعت الهيومرس وبحركها في انفيريور جلايد. الانفيريور جلايد عشان نحسن الابدكشن. في تكنيك اسمه جوينت ديستراكشن وتكنيك تاني اسمه لونج بون تراكشن. الجوينت ديستراكشن ببعد السيرفيس عن بعض. اللونج بون تراكشن بمسك من الهيومرس من تحت، لما اشدها هيحصل معاها ايه؟ انفيريور جلايد. جوينت ديستراكشن بحط ايدي عند الاكزيلا، وطبعا يفضل يبقى فيه بيلت يثبت السكابولا، وايدي هنا عند الاكزيلا وبشد او ببعد السيرفيس عن بعض. فبحط ايدي هنا عند الاكزيلا وبحركها في جوينت ديستراكشن لاترال. ماشي. لونج بون تراكشن من الريستنج بوزيشن بمسك الهيومرس وبشدها لورا. لما اجي اشد الهيومرس لورا كده بيصاحب معاها انفيريور جلايد في الهيومرس. عندنا المفصل الشولدر جوينت شولدر كومبلكس. شولدر كومبلكس يعني ايه؟ عباره عن جلينو هيومرال، اكروميو كلافيكولار، ستيرنو كلافيكولار، اسكابولو ثوراسيك. الاكروميو كلافيكولار عندنا تو تكنيكس، انتيريور جلايد وبوستيريور جلايد. الانتيريور جلايد بنريح ايدينا على الابر ترابيزيوس.
Okay, so we have seen only the glenohumeral. So do you want to see one more video of this same glenohumeral?
Abduction at about 55.
Glenohumeral mobilization.
Okay. So we're going to have the patient, we're going to do mobilization of the glenohumeral joint, and the open pack position is going to be abduction at about 55 to 70 degrees, and it's going to be about 30 degrees of elevation, horizontal elevation. So I'm going to lay the patient down in supine. We're going to do the right side. I'm going to make sure that the patient is close to the edge of the table. I want the joint off of the table. I'm also going to place a towel or some kind of support system, whether it be a wedge or whatever is used in the clinic, underneath the scapula to give stability to the scapula. So as I approach the patient, the first technique we're going to do is distraction. So again, the open kinetic or the open chain for the glenohumeral joint is about 55 degrees of abduction with about 30 degrees of horizontal elevation, okay? So I want to get my cranial hand into the axilla. The glenohumeral joint is positioned where the humerus is on this angle, so I want my distraction force going this way to separate from the fossa. Come into the axilla with this hand, getting close, get my body in position. I'm going to distract and do a distracting force right there. So my force is going in this direction. This is distraction. Okay? Now, also from this position, I can go ahead and do a posterior glide. Posterior glide of glenohumeral joint is going to be very essential for enhancing internal rotation of the shoulder. So I come in, do my distracting force, move my body into position, come over the top, palpate the AC joint, get to the edge of the acromion, and the lateral side of my hand is onto the humerus. As I'm distracting, I do a posterior glide. Take up the slack, do a posterior glide. Okay? Very good. From this position, we can also go in and do an inferior glide. Okay? So I find it easier if you come into this position, and what I'm going to do with an inferior glide, my footwork's important. I want to make sure that my feet, since I'm going in an inferior direction, my feet are lining up in the direction that I'm going to go in. So once again, I'm going to get the patient in his open pack position. My caudal arm and hand is up into his axilla, and my superior or cranial hand is up over the superior side of the humerus. I distract the joint, take the slack out, and from this position, I'm going to do an inferior glide. Take up the slack, and right here is my inferior glide. My forearm and body should be pushing in the same direction as the inferior glide. Okay? Next, we're going to do an anterior glide. Backing up, the inferior glide is good for somebody who's having difficulty with abduction. We're trying to get, it's a convexity on a concavity, so we're trying to improve that. So we're going to back up, we're going to have the patient go into supine in order to do an anterior glide, okay? So we're going to have him roll over. Again, I want to work my table so that he's around ASIS of the clinician. May even get a little lower. So this time I'm going to take my towel roll or support system and put it right around where the coracoid process is. I'm going to get the patient close to the edge so that the glenohumeral joint and the humerus is off the edge of the table. Once again, I'm in position. I find the open pack position was about 55 to 70 degrees of abduction with a slight bit of horizontal elevation. And my hands come into the axilla. I do a distracting force, and then I get my thigh in there to hold that distracting force. Come over with my proximal hand, palpate at the AC joint, find the acromion, and the ulnar side of my hand goes to the lateral side of the acromion. And I will do an anterior glide, being very careful, taking up the slack, and do an anterior translation. Anterior glide. Notice that the elbow is straight, and I'm going in the direction of the forearm. So both hands are going down together. As an anterior glide, that's going to help to enhance external rotation. Okay.
Okay, can we go to the next joint?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so today are we going to have 2 hours class or 1 hour class? Whenever 4 to 5, do you have any other class? Okay, so just a reminder, we have only 6 hours more in next week. So in that 1 hour I need for revision of these two topics. Then so that means remaining we have only 5 hours. Remaining we have only 4 hours, right? Monday 2 hours, then okay, Tuesday 1 hour, then Wednesday 2 hours. 5 hours will be there. So in 5 hours, okay, so we can complete, no problem. So, but if you want to have extra discussion and another thing, then we need to have extra, okay? So next is acromoclavicular joint. So here the acromion process and the clavicle will be joining together. That means the acromion part of the scapula and the clavicle will be joining to form this acromoclavicular joint. So this joint uh, will be like it will not have much of movement, but it needs if you want to have a good shoulder mobility, then this particular joint should not have any adhesion formation. Is that clear? But actually, if you see this smaller joint doesn't have much of movement. But if it is having adhesion or if it is like fixed together, then you will not have the complete RM in shoulder joint. So that's why you need to do this mobilization. So here like you will be having anterior glide, posterior glide. Both the glides will be there in the acromion area. So you can position the patient in sitting, or you can also position the patient in prone lying. So in case if you don't if you're not able to hold the clavicle properly, then you can position the patient in prone lying, or if the patient is thin, then you can position the patient in sitting. So in sitting, you have to hold the patient by standing behind. So stabilize the acromion process with the fingers of your lateral hand. So stabilize the acromion process with your fingers of the lateral hand. Okay, so here you are stabilizing the acromion process with your fingers. Is that clear? Then thumb of the other hand will push downwards towards the upper trapezius, and it is posterior. It is placed posterior on the clavicle, just medial to the joint. So the thumb is placed just medial to the joint. So here is the joint. Is it clear? So here is the joint. So by giving a lateral push, you are holding the scapula tightly with this hand, and you are going to give the push with your thumb here. So the thumb is just medial to the joint line, and with the thumb you will be giving the anterior push. So towards the anterior you will be giving the push. Is that clear? So this is anterior glide of clavicle on acromion joint. Then posterior glide is like same ways you can position the patient either in sitting or in supine. Okay, so either in sitting or in supine you can position the patient. Then stand in the same manner. Then palpate the acromion process with the fingers, and with that push the clavicle posteriorly with your thumb. Is that clear? So uh, push the clavicle posteriorly with the thumb. So same here. What you have to do is you have to hold the hand from the front, and with the thumb you can just push behind. Okay, so hold the hand in the front, and with the thumb you have to push the clavicle behind. So that is your anterior glide and the posterior glide. So next joint is sternoclavicular joint. So sternoclavicular joint, again, this joint also will not have much of movement. But if it is not having full movement, then your shoulder protraction and retraction will be affected. The clear shoulder protraction, retraction, elevation and depression will be affected in case if the joint is not having good flexibility. So here if you see, the clavicular part is convex, and it is a saddle variety where the articulating surface will have both convex and concave part. Okay, so both the articulating surface will be having both the concave and convex part, that is called as saddle variety. And here the patient is positioned in supine lying, and the thorax will be supported with a belt. Okay, so the patient will be positioned in supine lying, and the thorax will be supported by the cot. Then you can just see, this is your sternoclavicular joint. Okay, this end is a sternoclavicular joint. Then so you have to place your hand in such a way that your thumb is over the anterior surface of the proximal end. So the clavicle, if you see here, the clavicle from here, it will be going here and it is ending here. So this is the clavicular end. And the behind, underneath the hand, you will be having the sternum. So underneath your hand, you will be having the sternum, and this is the clavicular end. So by positioning the thumb over the anterior surface of the clavicle, you just give a push downwards. So that is your posterior glide. So with the help of the thumb here, you give a push downwards. That will be giving you the posterior glide. And in the same position, with the help of these two fingers, you give a push upwards. That is your superior glide. Okay, so you are holding the end of the clavicle with the thumb and with the two fingers, index finger and the middle finger. Then with the thumb you push downwards to get the posterior glide, and with the index finger and the middle finger you push the proximal end of the clavicle upwards to get the superior glide. Okay, same ways you can also do anterior glide and the caudal glide. So for the anterior glide, you are supposed to hold the proximal end. So hold the proximal end like this, then give a upward pull. This is your anterior glide. Hold the clavicular end and give a upward pull. That is your anterior glide. Then hold the clavicle and push downwards. So with the same index finger and the middle finger, you push downwards. So that is your inferior glide. Is that clear? So these are the four glides. Then after that we have what we have is the scapulothoracic soft tissue mobilization. So here the scapula will be having lot of soft tissues, so which that will be helping you to attach the scapula to the thoracic cage. So what you have to do is, sometimes when there is adhesion in the soft tissue, then it will be restricting the movement. So for that you have to hold the lower end of the scapula like this. So hold the lower end of the scapula like this. Then with the lower border you have to give a push. So mobilize the scapular in whatever direction you want to do. So hold the lower end of that is inferior border of the scapula with your thumb and the index finger. Then you can give superior glide. You can push laterally, you can push medially, and you can push downwards also. Okay, so maximum you will be able to do superior, lateral, and the medial glide you will be able to do it. So this is scapulothoracic soft tissue mobilization. Is that clear? So shall we see the video of this? So this is like we have completed only one joint, that is our shoulder joint. Okay.
يبقى انتيريور جلايد الفيو العكسي الكلافيكل في الهيومرس لورا كده بيصاحب معاها انفيريور جلايد في عندنا المفصل الشولدر جوينت شولدر كومبلكس. شولدر كومبلكس يعني ايه؟ عباره عن جلينو هيومرال، اكروميو كلافيكولار، ستيرنو كلافيكولار، سكابولو ثوراسيك. الاكروميو كلافيكولار عندنا تو تكنيكس، انتيريور جلايد وبوستيريور جلايد. الانتيريور جلايد بنريح ايدينا على الابر ترابيزيوس والايد بتاعتي على البوستيريور اسبكت بتاعت الكلافيكل وبنعمل انتيريور جلايد. بعمل انتيريور جلايد في الكلافيكل. التكنيك الثاني وهو البوستيريور جلايد. بنيجي عند الانتيريور اسبكت بتاع الكلافيكل وايدي هنا مريحه عند الاكروميوم. ليه؟ عشان تثبت الاوبوزيت سيرفيس. وبنحرك الكلافيكل في بوستيريور جلايد. الاكروميو كلافيكولار جوينت. الاكروميو كلافيكولار جوينت واحد جوينت من ضمن الشولدر كومبلكس. بنيجي عند اللاترال اند بتاعت الكلافيكل وايدي عند الاكروميوم وبحط ايدي عند الكلافيكل كده وبحركها في بوستيريور جلايد. بوستيريور جلايد. الاسترنو كلافيكولار جوينت واحد من الجوينت تبع الشولدر كومبلكس. الاسترنو كلافيكولار جوينت عباره عن حاجه اسمها سادل جوينت. يعني ايه سادل جوينت؟ عباره عن سلك الحصان. عباره عن لما تيجي تبص عليه من فيو كونفكس، تيجي تبص عليه من الفيو العكسي او الفيو البربنديكولار عليه تلاقيه ايه؟ كونكيف. بالتالي عندنا 4 موفمنت في الاسترنو كلافيكولار جوينت. elevation depression. الانفيريور جلايد بيحسن الاليفيشن. السوبيريور جلايد بيحسن الديبريشن. ليه؟ لان الفيو ده الكونفكس هي اللي بتتحرك على الكونكيف. الحركه الثانيه بروتراكشن ريتراكشن. البروتراكشن في السيم دايركشن، الجلايد في السيم دايركشن، يبقى انتيريور جلايد بيحسن البروتراكشن، بوستيريور جلايد بيحسن الريتراكشن. المثال الواقعي هنا في البوستيريور جلايد بحط ايدي عند الانتيريور اسبكت بتاعت الكلافيكل، الميديال اند بتاعت الكلافيكل وبحركها بوستيريور جلايد. انتيريور جلايد باجي عند البوستيريور اسبكت بتاعت الكلافيكل وبحركها في anterior جلايد. التكنيك الثالث الاليفيشن والديبريشن. inferior جلايد بيحسن الاليفيشن. superior جلايد بيحسن الديبريشن. ده اسمه ايه؟ posterior جلايد. بص بقى ركز كده معايا. ديت الاسترنم وهنا الكلافيكل الميديال اند. بنيجي عند الكلافيكل وبحركها في بوستيريور جلايد. انتيريور جلايد بنيجي من البوستيريور اسبكت بتاعه الكلافيكل وبحركها انتيريور جلايد. في اسلوب تاني للانتيريور جلايد بتاع الانتيريور جلايد بتاعت الكلافيكل العكس، ان انا اثبت الكلافيكل من هنا وان انا احط ايدي عند الاسترنم واحرك الاسترنم لورا اكني حركت الكلافيكل لقدام. انتيريور. inferior glide superior glide. تكنيك بتاع السكابولا موبيلايزيشن حسب الدايركشن بتاع السكابولا، حوالي 4 دايركشن: elevation depression, upward rotation, downward rotation, protraction away from the spine, retraction toward the spinous process. ان الموفمنت والموبيليتي بتاعت الاسكابولا لازما بناخد بروكوشن ونمسك الاسكابولا كويس قوي. اول حاجه بحط ايدي من تحت الهيومرس بتاعت المريض عشان اوصل بايدي للانفيريور انجل. الايد الثانيه هنا عند السوبيريور بوردر بتاع الاسكابولا. كده انا اتحكمت في الاسكابولا كويس. اعمل بقى سوبيريور elevation او superior glide, depression, retraction ناحيه السباينس الفرتبرال column, protraction away from الفرتبرال column, upward rotation, downward rotation. منطقة الفقر منطقة مشهورة جدا بيحصل
Hi, my name is Nate Miller. I'm a student physical therapist at Campbell University, and today we're going to be talking about anterior and posterior glides at the acromioclavicular joint. So to start off, explaining what joint mobilizations are is it's basically a skilled, passive physiological movement that a therapist does to a joint of a patient, and the purpose of joint mobilization is to restore optimal motion, restore function, and or reduce the pain in the joint. Today we're going to be focusing on grades 1 of mobilizations, and that's when pain is the main restriction. So it's a small amplitude rhythmic oscillatory movement. And whenever you're applying joint mobilizations to a patient, make sure that you start with the lower grades before you move on to the higher grades. So talking about the acromioclavicular joint, I have a model here to demonstrate where we're going to be treating today. So the acromioclavicular joint is right here. It's a synovial plane joint. It's made up of the clavicle, the distal end of the clavicle, and then the acromion. So for the stabilizing hand during this movement, this mobilization, the stabilizing hand, the fingers come up to the front, the anterior side of the acromion, and then the thumb goes along the spine of the scapula. And that's where you're going to be stabilizing. The treatment hand, if you're treating in an anterior direction, so an AP mobilization, the thumb is going to come to the back of the clavicle, the posterior edge, and you're going to be pushing anteriorly. The opposite direction, PA mode, or an AP mode, the fingers coming up front are going to just pull on the clavicle and move it posteriorly away from the acromion. So I have a patient here, Richie, and Richie's main restriction is pain. So we're going to be doing a grade 1 mobilization on Richie. So I'm just going to explain to Richie. Richie, I've noticed some restrictions in your acromioclavicular joint, which is right here. It's made up of your clavicle and your acromion. So we're going to be doing some light oscillatory movements at the joint, and that's just going to help decrease your pain and hopefully restore some function. Is that okay? Sure. So this shouldn't be painful, so if you do have a lot of pain, just let me know and we'll stop. So the patient's just sitting relaxed. The therapist comes to the side of the patient and stabilizing hand palpates for the acromion and the spine of the scapula. The anterior part of the fingers come to the anterior acromion and stabilize there. The thumb, once you found the spine of the scapula, goes along there. And then your treatment hand palpates the clavicle, follows it distally into the attachment of the AC joint, and grabs it. So we're going to start with the posterior mobilization. And so I'm just going to oscillate that posteriorly as I stabilize. Any pain with that, Richie? Good. So if we were to mobilize in an anterior direction, then the thumb is coming behind the clavicle, again palpating the clavicle to its distal insertion into the AC joint, and then the thumb is going to push anteriorly. Any pain with that, Richard? Good. So we're making sure our oscillations just go to the restriction of pain. We don't want to push too hard into the tissue resistance. Okay. So articles have stated that the main limitations at the AC joint occur with internal rotation and horizontal abduction. So to treat for those biases, first starting with an internal rotation bias, we're going to take the patient's arm and place it in maximal internal rotation at the shoulder, so we can place it behind the patient's back. And you're just going to rest it there. And then once we have the patient's arm in that position, then we can go on and treat just like we did before for the anterior and the posterior modes. And that'll help restore some of the internal rotation. The second one, for a horizontal abduction bias, we want to take, could you face this table please? And go ahead and place this arm, face your body in that direction. Good, so his arm is now horizontally abducted. I'm going to raise the table a little bit just so we get in between 60 and 90 degrees. Again, the hand is going to palpate for the acromion, stabilize the acromion and along the spine and scapula. The treatment hand is going to find the clavicle, the distal end, and then I'm just going to do our modes like we talked about before again to treat for horizontal abduction restriction.
Okay, so whenever there is a problem with shoulder flexion or extension or abduction adduction, you need to mobilize the acromioclavicular and the sternoclavicular also, because clavicle also plays a major role in the movement of the shoulder joint. So if you just mobilize the glenohumeral alone, you will not get the desirable range of motion improvement. So you need to do along with the other two joints. Okay, so that's why this three joints will be holding will be always like you need to do together to improve the complete movement of the shoulder joint. Is that clear? So the remaining elbow joint and the wrist joint we will continue in the next class. Okay, most probably by today I will upload all the slides and the videos. So this like peripheral joint mobilization you need to keep doing, then only you will be able to master the technique. Okay, it is not as easy technique like your passive movement. You need to keep doing, then only you will be able to achieve the desirable uh, or you can master the particular technique. Okay, so keep practicing. If you have any doubt, then you just message me and you can call me and clear the doubts. Is that clear?
Okay, Miss.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.